Well, first thing this week, I wish to thank those of you who've contacted me and to assure you, particularly those in the road transport, trucking industry, that I will be following that up. I have put out questionnaires, both to drivers and to companies. And I'll certainly be following up on, Rick, your universal basic income grant idea, which I've had some feedback on from economists. And I will definitely be following up the Helderberg recycling idea. But this week, I was particularly concerned with the cold snap, the first serious cold snap of winter, with the news that there's increasing unemployment and that the economic outlook remains extremely gloomy. This got me thinking about homelessness, but not only the people who are homeless, and not only those who, for poor wages, etc., haven't got adequate accommodation, but for those who are legally enforced to become homeless. And I discovered that in the past 20 years, thousands of working people, men and women, have been effectively robbed of perhaps more than 60 billion rand by a sale in execution system that allows for the sale of a house where people have been in arrears for 3 or more months with their bonds. And this puts them out on the street in a manner that I regard as both immoral and open to corruption. It certainly needed fixing. Now, belatedly, some of the trade unions, the South African Communist Party, and actually some senior members of the Justice Department seem to have agreed that this system has to be fixed, but nothing has so far been done. Now, research by Scottish-born advocate Douglas Shaw, he first published some of it a year ago, pointed out that South Africa is the worst country in the world for underselling houses. You can have a situation where a house can be sold for 100 rand. And there was one case that I know of where within a week it was resold for 25,000 rand, I beg your pardon. Now, I'm talking not just about the little 2-bedroomed houses in townships. I'm talking about 3-bedroom face brick bungalows on your third of an acre in middle-class suburbia and above that as well. There's one case, for example, where someone who had a bond for 1 million rand had been dutifully paying it off for the past 10 years or so, became retrenched and ended up in arrears. And the house at that stage was probably valued at about 1.5 million rand. The person owed 500,000 rand on the bond. That house was sold for 150,000 rand. And then the person, the homeowner who'd been ruined financially by that sale, was then pursued for the 350 rand balance. It's a completely insane situation. And at last, I think, something is now being done about it. There's a case going before the Constitutional Court to ask for a declaratory judgment to declare this sort of sale, which doesn't happen virtually anywhere else in the world in this way, unconstitutional. And it will open up the way for those who have had their houses undersold, grossly undersold, to demand compensation. Anyhow, that's what I shall be focusing on in my Inside Labour column, because it concerns working people, the sellers of labour, right across the board. I'll be concentrating on that, and you can access the Inside Labour column on this platform, Fin24, tomorrow, and a version of which will appear in the City Press business section on Sunday. Until then, let's hear from you. More suggestions I welcome, more criticism, anything you wish to say. Just let us know at editor@fin24.com. That's editor@fin24.com. And for this week, that's all from me. Cheers.